There's literally nothing wrong with a good snack. I don't care who you are. There's nothing wrong with a good snack. Check 1, 2.
I was like, are you testing your...
100% I'm testing my mic.
Wow, that's a little aggressive.
There's nothing wrong with a good snack.
You're now peeking. That was you peeking.
Ooh.
You peeked.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Matt and Fiona Show. We are so glad that you joined us today. We are super excited for this topic, which we will
said that before, but we mean it the same this time.
We won't get overly passionate about this one at all. It'll be subdued and mellow and polite.
No
I'm
promises.
Looking at you.
I said, that's why I said no promises.
Yeah, I know. Goodness. Okay. So, because we like causing trouble.
Not intentionally.
Totally intentionally. We're going to talk about dating today. Which, do we date anymore? Kind of. Not really.
You and me?
Yeah.
You did tell me that that you would date me for the rest of my life.
That is true. Yeah.
So we do go on dates.
Kind of.
Like tonight.
Yeah, this is date night. This is date night.
It's a date night.
Yeah. We had dessert, kind of. Twizzlers.
We get to hang out and talk.
Yeah, and talk.
And talk.
Yeah, we're going to talk. All right, let's talk about dating and multiple aspects of
dating.
We're just going to jump right in.
Courting.
So,
yeah.
This all came about because we were talking with a friend of ours who is single. We do not endorse married dating unless you're dating the person you're married to. Got it? That's hot take number 1. Good Lord, I shouldn't have to say that. But we were talking with someone who is single, who is dating, or who was not really dating anyone. And they were getting harassed by their peers about why they were not dating, because all of their peers were dating multiple people, sometimes at the same time, which I realize is a thing that young people and some older people do these days, which is ridiculous. And I'm just gonna, again, number 2, that's topic number 2. And essentially the conversation went around to like, well, why are you dating someone who you don't think you're going to be serious with?
Right.
Right? That's what our friend was saying to their friends. And there'll be a graph at the bottom. No, there's no graphs. But essentially, it was that whole conversation of like, why are you not dating some people? You need to figure out what you like. And what you're looking for in a partner and all of these other things. Essentially, it had been boiled down to, in these people's minds, right? And as they are young adults, I will happily and very comfortably say, they don't have a clue what they're talking about because they're young adults. They ain't seen anything. But essentially, they were looking at our friend's quote unquote dating life and confused as to why she was not test driving all kinds of vehicles.
This happens multiple times, not just one person. There's been
multiple
people.
Heck, we've got some friends that
The
are...
fact that test driving is discussed when it comes to dating in and of itself.
I won't even take the time to test drive cars other than the ones I really like.
Yes.
Because
Anyway,
stuff
okay,
to
carry
do.
on.
All right. And it got us thinking about the fact that I get it. Dating's tough. Dating is a challenge.
It's not that it's the fact that if you are single and you are looking for something, sometimes the only option that seems available is dating. Or going out on dates, or, I mean, there are so many terms.
Isn't that dating?
Yes, yeah.
What's the other new one?
Situationships. When,
Huh.
when you're in situations with people, you can let your imagination kind of go a little bit there.
Don't let your imagination
Yeah, maybe that's
go.
better. Don't let your imagination go.
Especially if you're a parent with young children.
But
well,
no-
maybe not young children. Sorry. Oh, Lord.
Teenagers. Or, you know,
But also,
know this.
pay attention to your teenagers and your young children's because they are being influenced by others that they should be in a relationship or a situationship. Heck. And I didn't. You would be very proud of me. We were at a conference not that long ago, and someone who we haven't seen in a long time, who's a good friend of mine.
Okay.
The kids ran up. This person was talking to the three kids, turned to my daughter, and was saying, you know, how lovely she looked, blah, 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 blah. Asked her if she had a boyfriend. I didn't jump down anyone's throat.
She's 6.
She's 6.
Put it into...
And I get that it's cute to say that, but yeah, don't say that, especially to my kids. I don't care what you say to other kids necessarily, but definitely don't say that kind of crap to my
Although
kids.
we don't need to put that in their little brains.
No, not at all. But we are totally
We are
going
off
down
topic.
we are
yes.
totally off topic.
Rabbit trail.
So, back to it. My kind of joking title for this episode was Doorknob Dating, because it's very, if you're the era of me, you will know the term of this joke, which I'm not going to share, but
Okay.
you'll know it. But it's how I feel about this. If you are dating someone, courting someone,
They are two different things.
They are two
by
different
the way,
things, but
courting
I'm-
and dating.
but because the majority of people that listen to this are church people, I don't want to get caught up on the term.
Yeah.
That's not the focus.
Right.
We can do that on another episode.
Right.
What I want to talk about is the fact that society today has made it okay and almost frowned upon if you don't do this,
Yeah.
where you play the field, you test drive, you try to figure out what you need and what you want based on others opposed to based on yourself.
Yes.
So the encouragement is that you need to go date a bunch of different individuals, a bunch of different boys or girls or whatever, to figure out what things about some of those people
person.
you like
Or
versus
don't
things
like.
you don't like.
Hopefully you should know that.
Well, that's the whole idea.
Well, so I'm going to just, in conjunction with that, I'm going to just, quick story. So when I was in New York, I was a high school math teacher. And one of the first days, if not the first day, but definitely within the first week, obviously teenagers, they're fun. They ask fun questions. And one of the questions was, Miss, you got a boyfriend? And I was like, nope, don't have a boyfriend. Or no, it started with, Miss, you married? And I said, no, I'm not married. You have a boyfriend? Nope, don't have a boyfriend. Miss, what's wrong with you? And that was the question. You're not married, you don't have a boyfriend. What's wrong with you? And well, I proceeded to go on and tell them there was absolutely nothing wrong with me. I am perfectly content being who I am by myself, and that I do not need, at that particular point in time, anybody else to define me or to help me or to fix me or be part of me when I'm not prepared or ready or willing to allow any person that I've met into my life and or my space. And I was perfectly comfortable in that. I did not feel as though I needed to date or have a boyfriend or be married at that point in time in my life. And I thought that that was okay. But there were a lot of questions from a lot of these students as to what was wrong with me because I didn't. Now, I'm just going to go real quick and tell a little end blurb to that. 3 years later, I actually had one of my students who, she graduated. And because I had her when it was 10th grade that I had her, she was in that class. She was a doll, she was a sweetheart, and I absolutely adore her. She came to me and she said, Miss, I just want to tell you something. That day that you were in class and you told me that you did not need a boyfriend and that you did not need it, you were still important without one, made me realize that I didn't need one either. And she said, everybody in my family expected me to be a pregnant dropout. But I heard what you said that day, and I decided that I was going to go through high school without a boyfriend. And she was beautiful, she was darling, she was sweet. But she determined that she was going to go through high school without a boyfriend so that she would graduate. Nobody in her family believed that she would graduate. Everybody expected her to be a pregnant high school dropout, and she wasn't. And she came to me and she said, thank you. You were able to show me that I didn't need that and that I could be perfectly normal, perfectly fine, perfectly substantial by myself. And that was something that honestly meant so much to me, because when I told that class that I had importance in myself, that I didn't need a boyfriend to be important, just because everybody else had one didn't mean I needed one. I meant it, and she believed me. And I wish more women, young girls, would understand that they need to find out who they are. That they can be comfortable by themselves, and it's okay to grow, learn who you are, and not be somebody who has to have that relationship.
Who you are should never be defined by who you're with.
Right.
Or by extension, you should never find yourself based on who you're with or who you've been with.
Yeah.
And, there are two ways to look at that, right? You will learn a ton about yourself by being with other people. I learned all kinds of things about me once I met you.
Right.
But I also knew what I was looking for, what I wanted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
You were completely comfortable being yourself without me.
Yes.
You didn't need me to complete you.
And now I wouldn't be anywhere without you. Aww. Hearts. I'm so glad we don't have a filter. No filters. But the concern I have is, to your point, most people, most young adults don't learn that about themselves.
Yeah.
Right? They don't learn how to become adults and discover who they are.
Right.
Both just literally who they are, but who they are in Christ, what their belief system is.
Yeah.
And they don't, Christian or not, right? Your actual just those guiding principles that guide who you are as a person.
Yep.
And my concern is that, especially with young adults, because they're young and they don't know anything as much as you think you do. Trust me, I was there once where I thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
Turns out I didn't. No one share this one with my parents. Thank you.
Too late.
Nah, they haven't seen it yet, I promise. No, it's fine. We've talked about it. It's cool. What they don't understand, and again, I realize that I'm preaching to a choir that doesn't want to hear this, right? But every one of those relationships that you have, situationships, whatever, coming up with new terms like they own it.
Oh my gosh, seriously.
Every relationship you
better.
have, whether it's like boyfriend, girlfriend, whether it's friendship,
Yes.
it doesn't, there is a distinction and there is a difference, but they are also the same in this sense. Every relationship you have in your life will leave a little bit of baggage. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you...
It will mark your life.
It will mark your life.
One way or another.
And what happens is, especially in a dating style relationship, you are going to have baggage that gets involved. You are going to have soul ties that get involved.
Yeah.
And you're going to sit back and think that, oh, Matt, that won't happen to me.
We don't know what we're
It
talking
won't.
about.
Yeah, you don't know. It's cool. It's fine. You can go back, and anyone who tells you that this is not true is 100% lying to you. You can go back through every relationship you've had, and there are things that you will remember, good and bad, about every single relationship you've had. And if you can't remember those relationships, either they were that bad that you've blocked it out, which is a thing,
Right?
or you've had so many that they run together, which should tell you something else about yourself. If we're being like, we told you this one was going to be fun.
Yeah.
So, I understand, because I was a teenager too. I understand the desire to be with someone. And I was taught this as a teen.
Right.
And I still disregarded this to some degree. I was never that bad. I never got into really any trouble. Leave it alone.
He was a good kid.
But I still have those things from those stupid high school relationships.
Right.
Where again, I didn't do anything bad,
Yeah.
but I still have those.
Right.
And there are certain things that bring those relationships back.
To the forefront.
And that was a long time ago. Stop it. So I'm encouraging you to try to figure out yourself before you get so focused on dating. And if you do date,
Right.
because I understand that I can say this and you're going to ignore the majority of it, but please have some caution. Be aware of who you are trying to get into a relationship. Be aware of...
Don't want it so bad that you sacrifice
Yeah.
who you are and what you want. Or you give up on stuff.
If you have to do that, it's not worth it. Right?
Yeah.
If you have
I see it all the time.
If you have to limit yourself or
Sacrifice. It's a better
Sacrifice.
word. A
Yep.
sacrifice.
Yep.
It's so, you know what? This comes back to the Word of God says that you are not to be unequally yoked.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw this out there. If you are going to church, if you are a Christian, if you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, if you don't get in touch with us, we can figure that out, or we'll talk about that on a whole other one, because that's not what this one is about. But if you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and you are a Christian and you choose to live for Him and you are His, the Word of God says that you are not supposed to be unequally yoked. And too often I see people sacrificing who they are in Christ, not for Christ Himself, but because
Yep.
they want something else
So bad.
so bad that they are willing to give up what they actually want. They don't want to wait for what God has for them. They are willing to lower their standards.
Force the issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Well, and even to take it a minor step further, because why not?
oh, go, come on.
you can look at this and go bare minimum and say, okay, I don't want to be unequally yoked. So I'm a Christian, so I'll date another Christian. They may be a completely different belief system than you.
I've seen
As a
that
Christian.
happen too, as a Christian.
Right?
They have the title.
Well, and they may even be faithful in their church.
Yeah.
But their church might believe something completely different than what your belief system is. And, whether this is religious or not, right? Mm-hmm. This is like a fundamental thing. Mm-hmm. Opposites attract, right? We've all heard that.
Okay.
And it's somewhat true.
Right.
I'm tall, you're short.
Right.
See,
I'm
opposites.
organized.
I'm also somewhat organized. Why do you pull that out right off the bat? Just
We're going to keep going.
throwing the laundry out, huh?
Just keep going.
All right. Wow.
You can be organized.
Sometimes. But I have a belief system internally, right? And a lot of it is based on biblical things, but a lot of it is just my beliefs.
Which just happens to be based.
No, right.
Yes.
But not every single belief I have that is a core to me
Right.
is necessarily singularly connected to Christianity.
Right. Anyway.
Right? You have very similar beliefs.
Yes.
If you were out in left field on a lot of these things, even though we get along well, there would be conflict
Yes.
continually.
So in order to make it work, one of us would have had to
always
sacrifice.
be sacrificing.
Always.
So whether it's, because people get caught up on the Christian side of don't be unequally yoked.
Right.
And it's very valid and it's very true.
Yep.
But also, I've watched a bunch of Christians who are Christians and they're in the same camp.
Right.
Maybe not the same church, but the same camp. But they have drastically different core values. And they get married because they're both Christians. And then a couple years down the road, they're divorced, they're in a custody battle, they're dealing with all kinds of drama.
Right.
Because their core values didn't align. Right? So as much as it is, yes, your Christianity, your relationship with Christ matters and is obviously definitely important. There are other things as well that should be taken into consideration.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm shocked at how often, to your point, people want something so bad
Yeah. That
that, oh my gosh, all my friends are married. And they go and find some goofball who's quasi-Christian.
Right.
And they get married because, well, at least I found a Christian.
Which I've had happen to me.
No, not you, but like...
No, but meaning... No, I had a talk with a girl
We've
that
had
I had
friends.
gone to school with,
Yep.
and I just remember talking through stuff, and she just looked at me. She goes, "You actually found somebody to marry who you have the same beliefs with, who's a Christian, and who is in line?" And I said, "Yeah." She's like, was almost shocked by it.
It's...
Or shocked that I was willing to wait.
Well, that's the key, right?
Or stay true to what I wanted. But I knew that whenever, and I had my list. Some of them were, this must be, right? And that's that core value, that function, that, that stance, that biblical. I needed somebody committed to Christ. I needed somebody who is loyal to their family. I needed somebody who is filled with respect and honor, right? The core beliefs. Then I had other things that were,
Can you reach the tall cabinets?
You height, I like tight. I got it. One of the other things I said, I wanted somebody who was handy, and that was not a make or break
So
it.
close. So close.
So close.
So
that was
close.
not a make it or break it, but I got above and beyond. But I also wanted somebody who was older than me. That one I did not get.
But I identify as a 65-year-old, so we're cool.
Okay, so there, that fits it.
It is. Well, that seems to be all the rage these days. What? It's something where I've been around. I've been in churches for years. We've traveled to all kinds of churches all across North America. I've been involved in youth in some way, shape, or form for years. I've seen this story play out way too many times of teenagers, young adults, heck, regular adults, who are so desperate. They can't find peace in themselves, by themselves, getting to know them, that they feel that they're missing something, and they haven't learned how to look up and fill that void with the Lord, so that when they reach that phase, and we've talked about it on this show multiple times. When I met you, not that I had stopped looking, but I was not looking.
That was not your expectation.
Because again, I was traveling with my pastor. We were doing a bunch of stuff. And because A, I was a pastor's kid, and B, I was single, everywhere I went, someone was trying to hook me up with somebody.
And he's pretty to look at.
Right. But it wasn't till I got past that.
Right.
Which again, had to do with growing up a little bit and all those other things. It wasn't till I got past that, till I met you. Had we gone to that church and I had not got there yet, you and I never would have happened. I don't care what anybody says, it wouldn't have worked.
But you want to know what? It was God's timing.
Exactly.
And we had, both of us separately, at separate times before we had met, had
got to that point.
I'd gotten to that point, but had given it over to God. Like, I mean, I remember talking to God, and I said, look, for all intents and purposes, I said, look, I don't want anybody in my life until you bring me my husband. Because I don't want to waste my time dating people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, and this was a couple years before I met him, but I just said, Lord, if it's not my husband, I don't care. I don't want to know them. I want it to be clear of who it is going to be, because I don't want to waste my time. But I was praying for my husband. I had scriptures to confess over him before I even met him.
Yep.
And then when we did meet, this is the next thing I'm going to say. We didn't start a dating relationship. We became friends.
Yeah.
Like, we got to know each other.
Oh gosh, we talked so much.
We talked, which I needed, but we became friends. Our relationship base started as a friendship.
Yeah.
We both knew that there was definitely more there, but it was a friendship. And we spent time getting to know each other and realizing who, basically each other's core beliefs, to see if it was something that would...
The attraction side is easy. Right? Because it's not hard to be attracted to someone. Right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Hurtful.
Not you.
The attraction is easy, right?
Especially if you're looking for something where you shouldn't be looking. Stop looking in places you shouldn't be looking, too. Can I just say that?
I think you did.
Stop looking in places where you shouldn't be looking. You're going to get yourself in trouble.
Well, and if that hits you, you're looking in the wrong spot. No, but you are.
Good, then. Think about it, please.
You were in the middle of that earlier, and the only thing that was coming to my mind was, dating just gets you in trouble.
Yes.
I don't care who you are. If you're dating for the sake of dating.
Right, or because you feel you need to because of all the pressure surrounding you, or because you're lonely, or because you feel as though you're not worthy or have any worth in you, that right there goes to show you that you have to fix something yourself. Because another person, the only person that can fix you is God. There is no other person out there that can fix you.
Well, and that comes back to the unequally yoked side, right?
Right.
You and I have both seen it multiple times. We've tried to help people through this multiple times. If you, when we met,
Yeah.
you have been trying to get me to put my clothes away at the end of the day, right? Fold them neatly. Don't put them on the window seat. Put them in the drawer. For 17 years almost. How's that working?
I learned to have some grace.
I.e. it's not, because it's just, for whatever reason I can't do it. Shut it.
I said nothing. I'm giving you
That
grace.
is a simple thing.
Yeah.
That is a minor thing.
Oh, yeah.
And for all that you've put into it, all that I've tried to put into it, it just, it's something I do that I can't seem to change, right? Is a minor thing. Yet, we have all kinds of people that we know and we've watched, helped, tried to help fix, tried to help clean up. Because they got in a relationship with someone with the sole ideal that they were going to get that person saved,
Ooh.
that they were going to get that person to be committed, heck, sometimes to them, that they were going to get that person to, sell out to God. It doesn't work like that. I wish it did, especially for all those people that are stuck in that.
I know.
If you marry someone, just to use an incredibly bland example, if you marry someone who goes to church because it's just what they do, and you're fired up,
Committed, passionate,
you're ready to
driven.
go, you're one of those people who is running up to the altar as soon as the altar's open. If you think that person that you've married that just goes to church because it's what they've always done,
Right.
that they all of a sudden that you're going to turn them around. Now, that's not to say that they can't, that's not to say that God can't touch them, but if you think it's on
Doesn't
you...
mean you can't pray for them.
No, not at all. But if you go into it thinking that you're going to change them, it ain't happening, honey.
No.
I'm sorry. I wish it was.
I had a friend of mine, and we were both raised in church. We had both backslid. And I had gotten myself back. And I remember talking to her, and she was dating somebody, and I was like, look, don't you want to get yourself back to church? I mean, I was just encouraging her. And she's like, yes, I do. And I said, well, will so-and-so go to church with you? Well, not now, but... And I was like, so you...
They will.
Yeah. So her comment to me was...
If they love me.
No, once we're married, I know he'll come to church with me. And I was like, honey, he's not doing it now. What makes you think that once you guys get married, that's when I'll start going to church with you? If he's not doing it now, he's definitely not doing it when you're married. And last I knew and checked, neither of them were going to church. But my heart goes out for that. But
we've seen that time and time again. To be honest, I've only seen it a handful of times work the other way.
Yeah.
Right. In all the years that I've been involved in church.
But it's normally because one of the people makes a stand.
Yeah. 100%.
Like actually makes a stand and says something along the lines of,
it's over.
It's over unless.
Yep.
And actually mean it. It's not just a threat, but it's an absolute.
Mm-hmm. And it's, we bring all this up just to bring it back, because I know we're running a little long.
Yeah.
We bring this all up, because it's a topic that we're both minorly excited about if you haven't noticed. But
It's because we care.
to reiterate the fact that there are so many people today that are looking so hard to try and find themselves, and rather than looking inside at themselves, they're looking for validation through all these other people.
Yeah.
And we've seen what that does.
Yeah.
And how rarely that works out.
Yeah.
And
you
start talking about
devastation it brings half the time.
Oh yeah, you start talking about heartache, you start talking about soul ties, you start talking about baggage, you start talking about when you're ready to when you finally meet someone, right? You finally meet that right person. You don't want all this junk from your past that you willingly brought into it
Right.
to affect that relationship.
Yeah.
So the easy thing to do, well, actually, it's honestly probably the hard thing to do, but the hard thing that works out in the long run is to limit that. Don't open yourself up for, like, I am baffled at the number of teenagers that are actively searching for heartbreak.
Oh.
Because typically that's what it is. If you are trying to figure out who and what you want by sampling all the different ice creams,
Look,
ice cream doesn't hurt you. That does.
We all screw up every now and again. We get ourselves in situations that we wish we hadn't. We fall short, and that's okay. But I guess the whole point of this right now is be careful, be respectful, treat yourself with respect, treat yourself with care. Know you're worth it.
Yeah.
Going off some of our last ones, fight for yourself. Now, if you are a Christian and Jesus is your savior and you are hoping for and you expect and you want a godly marriage in the long run, dating around is not going to get you there.
Yeah.
And what is going to get you there is seeking his face until he brings you your future. But don't go looking for it. Anytime you take these kind of things into your own hands, all it does is bring pain, and even if it's not right away. But I could not imagine going to church with my kids and my husband not being there. I couldn't imagine not knowing that if I leave my husband home with my kids and somebody gets hurt, I know he's going to pray for my kids. I don't need to be the one that's there.
Our kids.
Our kids. But in all seriousness, if I'm not feeling well, I don't need to worry about, or if when he goes away on a business trip, I don't need to be concerned about what he's doing. But what you need to let go and let God. And while you're waiting, don't date. But instead of spending time with all these different people, spend time with your Savior. Find out who you are in Him. Find out what He has for you. Find out what your plan is for you. Because if by you going out and taking reins and you taking control over it, he kind of has to back off.
Yeah.
And you don't ever want that. You do not want God to back off because you've decided to take control of your own life. When he's saying, hey, and I'm talking to the women, the girls right now, just for multiple reasons, but his plans for you and his thoughts of what he thinks you deserve are always going to be so much more than what you think you deserve.
Yeah.
So what you think you deserve is here. What God thinks you deserve and knows you deserve and what he has for you is up here. So stop taking this part of your life into your own hands and let go and leave it to God and let him do this. But by dating around, dating multiple people, you are not allowing God to function and operate in the way that he wants to in your life.
Yep.
And there is just sheer pain on the other side of that. Because once you do get to this point, it's lifetimes too. And it is hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
We have the same core values in everything that we do. We have the same biblical values. We have the same idea of how we want our kids raised. When we fight a battle, we stand together, we take communion, we pray, we have all that strength, that 3-cord strand that cannot easily be broken. Why are you settling for a 2-cord strand? Don't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
We went over, but in the end, please, God has so much more for you. Sure.
I know.
Okay.
I was going to add more, but we'll wrap it there.
Okay.
You wrapped it up nicely.
I wrapped it up
With a
nice.
bow.
Okay. All
A
right.
bow. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this one. Because we did. We had a blast. Again, the bottom line is focus on him. Right?
Yes.
He will,
Exceed your expectations.
like everything else, he will bring something or someone across your path. Mm-hmm. Right? That is the perfect match for you. Perfect fit for you.
Yeah.
And like everything, if you keep, just as you said, if you keep trying to do this of your own power, will you find something? Maybe.
Right.
Will it be good? Maybe.
Right.
Will it be great? Possibly. If you waited on the Lord, would it be better?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And it may be the same person. Right?
Right.
But that perfect timing, that God timing, only happens when you let God work.
Yes.
So, stop speed dating. Or
It's not about you.
anything. Yeah. It isn't. But
You make it about him, and he'll make it about you.
very much so. All right, we are going to wrap it there. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram,
Yep.
on YouTube at the Matt and Fiona Show. We'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, join us next week. We've got a great show coming for you
Yes.
next week.
Yes.
And we can't wait to connect with you again.
again.
So thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye now. I did the bye now this time.
You did.
Not bye now, but like